Wake up, and welcome to a brand new season. It's Wake Up, brought to you by Sam's Chowder House, Damon Bruce, Larry Krueger. Larry, Happy New Year. It's here, brother. It's been a long
Oh, man, good morning. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to Sam's Chowder House. Good morning to you, Damon. Good morning to the audience. Good morning to Jets fans everywhere who might be watching, getting ready for Niners-Jets on Monday night. It is here. Week one has arrived, and yesterday it felt like normalcy had returned to Santa Clara because Aiyuk was there and practicing, and CMC was there and practicing, and Trent Williams is in town, and the big man is practicing. So you know what? Bring it on. Niners-Jets, Monday night. Can't wait for it.
Look good, feel good, play good, and there's no doubt everybody is starting to feel good around the San Francisco 49ers. And in one of the most extreme, horrifying examples of be thankful for what you have in the situation that you're in and the blessings that you have in your life, the Ricky Pearsall ripple effect seems to have, turned everybody into the locker room into appreciative and thankful, and everyone's taking stock of how much they have. They're no longer looking at their lives through the prism of what they might not have contractually, professionally. It feels like everyone sort of got centered by the scary reality of what Ricky Pearsall had to go through. And, sports is nothing compared to that, right? And it just feels like the team that had one of the most painful, headachy off seasons in the last 72 hours has refocused, re-energized, and gotten ready to hopefully have a very special year. I'll tell you, the 49ers always a special year here, Larry. After everything they just put everybody through, for goodness sakes, I hope the regular season is a lot more fun than that preseason or the offseason certainly was.
Well, the offseason was no fun. But I do want to thank Brandon Aiyuk and his agent for giving us so much content, because you know what? The reality is when the NFL shuts it down after minicamp in May or early June, and then it's totally quiet until training camp, except for the 49ers, who were embroiled in trade talks and who's going to report and who's going to be traded and what did this guy say on this podcast. And it really did give us a lot of, let's just say, grist for the mill. But it's not necessarily, it was good. It was good for me. I don't know if it was good for, it seemed like it ultimately wound up good for Brandon. Was it good for the Niners? I don't know. We'll find out.
Well, one of the questions, because we got a lot to go over here today as we're officially getting ready. We're, less than 24 hours away. Well, a little bit more than 24 hours, but not much, 24 and change away from kickoff of the first Thursday night game of the year. Were there offseason lessons learned or conveyed here either for the Niners? Like, are they going to be approaching the next situation that smells like this a little bit differently? Do you think that they, will change or alter their approach with players, with contract, with the first rounder looking at a fifth-year option who has excelled in his career? What was gained? What was saved? What was earned by this entire exercise that really benefited the 49ers? I don't quite grasp how they come out ahead in having done like this.
Well, I mean, when you say done like this, you mean because it took a long time?
Yeah, the acrimony, the bad PR, the conjecture, the fans complaining, media complaining, agents talking amongst each other, players maybe looking at the organization side-eyed. I don't know the amount of money that this cost the Niners or it saved the Niners, but I guess my question is, was it worth it? Like, was it worth it? Was it worth two crucial players not getting a single drop of preseason football or practice? Was the savings worth it? Was the negotiation worth it? I don't know if anyone can say it was.
Yeah, I don't know that you can argue that it was worth it. As far as, maybe the Niners got their price. Maybe they saved a few bucks. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. They wound up paying, it seemed like the last couple of years, Bosa top dollar, Aiyuk, relative top dollar. You're known as tough negotiators, I guess. Maybe there's some advantage in that. Maybe you saved a few dollars along the way with this tough negotiating stance that you can save for next year. I mean, they're rolling over $50 million. They have the most cap room of any team in pro football.
I'm sorry, just that alone. Like riddle me that, Batman. Like when I constantly tell you that the cap is something that's real and equal parts imaginary.
It's not imaginary. It just can be massaged.
No, but it's so manipulatable. It's you can bend it to your will to
year to year, but not overall. Year to year.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
eventually you're going to have to pay the piper. Yeah. It's kind of like kicking the can further down the road. I'll put it on a credit card and I'll pay the minimums and you can do anything you want to do.
Right.
Short term.
By the way,
Joseph Ernberg with the text of the chat of the morning. My girlfriend said, "Hey, it's me or Niners wake up." Anyways, I'm happy to be here for the show, guys.
Thank you to be. It's good to have you here. Enjoy single life. I really hope it is worth it, and I hope the Niners and Larry and I all deliver for you in your single life.
We don't even know exactly what kind of decision he made there, but we won't ask for any more information.
Isn't it extraordinary, though, that a team that has, any way you want to measure it, the most total talent on its roster is $50 million under the cap? If that just doesn't show you that things can be manipulated, I'm just surprised a guy like Trent Williams. And have you seen a number on Trent? I have yet to see the official number.
Yeah, I have it here. Let me
get
it for you. The official number for Trent Williams, so he was supposed to be making $20.05 million as part of the final year of his 6-year, $138 million deal that he signed back in 2021. Okay. The Niners created cap room yesterday. They created $5.4 million in cap space by restructuring Malik Collins. They created even more cap room after that, restructuring Deebo Samuel. Trent, let me see. I think I jotted it down here. Trent. Okay. Yeah. So the Niners converted $6.79 million of Collins' 2024 salary into a signing bonus, added 3 void years. So they freed up $5.4 million of cap space for the upcoming season. They carried an NFL $50.5 million of cap space into week 1 because last year they rolled over a league high amount of cap space from 2023. Trent's numbers, though, let me see. I have them jotted down. Where are they? Oh, here it is. So Trent is getting 3 years, $82.66 million, $48 million at signing. 25.6 of that is via a signing bonus. We talked to him yesterday. He called it an intricate contract restructuring, and we didn't really get exactly the details on that as far as beyond what I just gave you there.
He didn't get an extra year, though, right? He still got a 3-year contract. They just moved the money around, and it sounds like they took it from a backloaded contract and pushed it to a front load.
Well, yeah, they definitely gave him, 40. He just picked up $48 million yesterday.
It's a good day, Larry. Can you imagine?
I was joking that I would drive by the, every ATM. Hey, honey, look, I just saw B of A. Let's pull in.
Have a look.
Balance inquiry. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, wow. We have $48.7 million in there. It's like, wow.
It's a good day. By the way, Chris Topher is saying my wife fully supports my commitment to my side pieces, Damon and Larry. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks to your wife for agreeing to your open relationship that you're having with me and Larry. We really do appreciate it. By the way, to keep this relationship going, hit like and subscribe. We are so happy to be back doing Wake Up. It's going to be 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it really does feel like a new year. That first show together after Labor Day always feels like a resetting of the sports calendar. Larry, I'm excited. It's my second year covering the NFL here on YouTube. It's our second year together, our first year being sponsored by Sam's Chowder House. And we plan on making this show appointment viewing 3 days a week with a little wrinkle coming up after week 1, because obviously pregame for the Jets will start with our show right at 9 a.m. next Monday. But we will, of course, be coming to you the day after any 49er game, which means Wake Up will be on Tuesday next week as well. We'll be having one on Wednesday and then again on Friday as we set you up for week 2 of the football season. But
it's a lot of wake up.
We're going to be waking up.
We're going to be waking your asses up. So get out of bed and go to Sam's Chowder House. Get yourself a lobster roll. Get your feet in the sand. Have some oysters Rockefeller. Throw back a couple tall boy beers on the patio, and think of Damon and I.
Look, Larry and I are good at describing things, but we can't describe things that are as beautiful as. Show it to him, Larry. Forget us talking. Show him Sam's. Look at Sam's Chowder House there, Half Moon Bay. Look at this place. Look at that dining room.
The smell in that room, too, with the fire and the seafood and the.
Look at there it is. There's the star of the show. There's the lobster roll right there.
Ooh, look at that. Look at that.
Oh, that's got to be the cipino, Larry. Break it down.
I see a shrimp. Cipino, you get the mussels, you get the shrimp, you get the crab legs. Who doesn't like some cipino? Stand there and get out on the patio, stare out at the water. Maybe go, if you're in October, maybe you roll down the street to my good friend Scotty Pastorino, our old friend from KMBR's got Pastorino Farms down there in Half Moon Bay, and that you can get your pumpkins and strawberries and flowers and all kinds of things.
It's awesome.
So I'll say this, one of the coolest parts of California are the areas of California where the ag meets the coast. Where so Paso Robles, which has become a big wine area, phenomenal spot. Half Moon Bay, where you've got all kinds of agriculture right there on the coast. I mean, that to me, and I'm sure there's a couple spots down south of there, throughout the state, but those spots, some of my favorite in the Bay.
Larry, I am a sucker for a roadside fruit stand. Cherries, berries, strawberries, come get your jam, corn on the cob.
Damon, when we were kids, right there where Sam's is, about maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes south of there, near I forget the name of the beach. It'll come to me. But anyway, we used to go ollie berry picking. Ollie berry is kind of like a combination of it's kind of like a blackberry. It's a kind of a tart, dark berry.
Right.
Oh my God. And you'd go picking, right? So there was a certain time of the year in the springtime or summertime, and you could pick the berries, and you buy the big box. And my mom used to freeze them, and she'd make pies. She'd put them, in ice cream for dessert, all kinds of fruit around the house. I mean, we had months of berries in the freezer that we would, slowly but surely eat over the time. And it was amazing and a really, really good time. So we would go berry picking in the morning, Damon, and then an afternoon at the beach, maybe even a little. Now, if we were doing it again, we'd go berry picking in the morning, afternoon at the beach, Sam's Chowder House for an early dinner.
Deez knows what's up. That Cipino's fire. Absolutely.
It's amazing. And the smell in the restaurant of fire, seafood, and it works. The smell in the restaurant is the greatest smell of all time.
Look, here's the thing. If you live in Northern California, if you live in the Bay Area, you have heard of Sam's, you know about Sam's, you've seen the Sam's Chowder Mobile, probably at an event around town. And we're not telling you anything you don't already know. For those who are making plans to come out to Levi's Stadium this year, who are flying into the Bay Area, Sam's Chowder House is closer to Levi's Stadium than San Francisco is. So go to Sam's Chowder House. It is the ultimate kiss of coastline, great restaurant, seafood, everything you could want in a California dining experience. And our months of September, October are our 2 nicest months of the year. November is pretty good around here too. So
yeah,
if you're making a plan to come out to see a Niners game, think of including Sam's into your itinerary. Thank you for putting Wake Up in your itinerary.
Make a day of it. Make a day of it. You'll be very happy that you did. Larry, let's get to brass tacks. Let's get down dirty into it.
5 things that most excite you about this upcoming season. This limits us. There's so many more things than 5 things to be excited about the 49ers, but just looking at this team, the opportunity that's in front of it, the way that it's changed, the way that it's remained the same in many ways, What has you most excited? Let's go from 5 to 1. May I start?
Sure. Well, you have to start, because if I was going for number one, you know what I'm going with.
Sam's Chowder House, baby.
Sam's Chowder House. Look at that.
This Chipino. Wait, it's coming up.
I'm going with the Chipino in round 1. I'm coming back with the Oysters Rockefeller in round 2.
This is
right.
it's seriously. It's like when you finally got that Pam Anderson Playboy that you put out for the very first time. You're like, have you seen the centerfold? Wait, and you see the Chipino. Okay.
And if by the way, if you're 20 right now, you're going, what? What's a centerfold? What's Playboy? What's this? Who's Pam Anderson? Isn't she a senior citizen? I mean, what are we talking about?
All right, here we go.
You might as well have said, Zsa Zsa Gabor or something. Oh, you should have seen Farrah Fawcett.
I can just hear
Jane Mansfield. Oh, Jane Mansfield.
I can just hear Kevin.
Who?
I can just hear Kevin's thought pattern right now saying, damn it, Larry, would you give us an edit point? Would you give me an edit point to start this 5 things I'm excited about? Okay, here it is. Pissed. Kevin, here's your edit point.
He's
Ready?
Pissed. Yes.
Here, it's like the marker in the Hollywood. Boom.
5 things. 5 burning issues.
5 things that excite you the most about the upcoming 24 49ers season. To me, number 5. We're going to go from 5 to 1. Okay. I'm starting with Dominic Puni. I'm really excited about Dominic Puni's rookie season. More excited I've been about interior offensive line play in a long time. It's hard to get excited about a guard, but he is exactly the prescription to the illness that the 49ers had, which was a little weakness in the center of their offensive line, specifically lack of consistency at right guard. If Dominic Puni has the year we think and hope he's about to have, that makes Mike McGlinchey better. If Mike McGlinchey is better, by definition, this offensive line has improved, and a little offensive line improvement might be exactly the difference between winning or losing a Super Bowl this year. I'm really excited about Dominic Puni's rookie season, and that's where I start my list, Larry. What's your number 5?
Well, let me comment on yours, because Trent Williams hit the podium yesterday, and he was asked about, the young players and, who's impressed him, because he's watched the preseason and he was there for minicamp. And the first guy he said, man, I really like Dominic Puni. And the first word he used was his poise. His poise at such a young age is really, really incredible. And
by the way, did I call Colton McKivitz Mike McGlinchey? The comments are saying, you need Colton McKivitz. I said Mike McGlinchey. Sorry, I
was letting that go, but I know I saw you working. But the other thing that Trent said was that Puni is such a steal. He's like, man, what a steal. 3rd round to get a starting right guard, and he's a great kid, man. I was talking to him in the locker room yesterday. He was shooting buckets, and he's an athletic kid. He's excited. He's engaged. He's fired up. He's got 2 personalities. He's the perfect football offensive lineman, Damon. He's a fun-loving guy who's a great interview and great to talk to off the field, and on the field, this guy's a wrecker. This guy's looking to take your head off. This guy's looking to play to the echo of the whistle. I mean, Dominic Puni is a get. I mean, that was a get by the 49ers. In the 3rd round, nonetheless, they got to be thrilled with Dominic Puni. I mean, my God, 3rd round pick, and he's going to be a plug-and-play starter at right guard at 6'5", 315 pounds. That's a great call. I love that one. I'll see your Dominic Puni, and that's a great one, as I said. But I'm going to go with the Dominic Puni on the other side of the ball, and that's Malik Mustafa. Dude, if you like a downhill safety that will blow shit up, this is your guy. This guy is, and Trent shouted him out yesterday. He's like, man, this guy's a downhill hitter, and he's fun to watch. And to me, I mean, at the end of the day, fun to watch is what we're all about. It's a TV show, I mean, yeah, it's real life and it's football and whatever, but it's also a TV show that we're all going to spend, hours and hours and hours consuming live and taped. So I want the TV show to be entertaining, and the Niners have a very high standard for safety play. They've had great safeties. This is the franchise of Ronnie Lott. of Chet Brooks, of Jeff Fuller, of Merton Hanks, of Tim McDonald, of Dante Whitner, of the Hawk, Deshaun Goldson. You got to hit and you got to cover, and they got a guy who can do both, and that's exciting. So I'm going to go Malik Mustafa. I talked to him in the locker room. He's one of the smartest football minds I've talked to. This is a 22-year-old kid who just stepped out of college. The depth of the conversations you can have with him about football coverage and about his position and where he's at and what he needs to do to get better, and his evolution at the position. I mean, the guy is impressive. And I know he's not set to start right away, but that will change in time. Malik freaking Mustafa. And maybe the greatest name we've seen in a long time, too. I love this kid, man. I love watching this kid.
Yeah, every team should have a Mustafa on it, just laying dudes out.
Yeah.
That sounds intimidating right there. I'm excited about him, too. I really am. I've got him as an honorable mention. He just missed my list because I think safety play and really the secondary is going to be a huge part of this season. There's just no doubt that it is going to be, I think, a strength of the defense. But that brings me to my number 4 thing I'm excited about, Larry, and that's Nick Bosa. What kind of year is Nick Bosa about to give the San Francisco 49ers? Is he going to be a straight-up game wrecker, or is he just going to bottom all the way out to good? I don't think there is a bad Nick Bosa, right? I don't think that we're going to see bad Nick Bosa. I think he's too good of a football player. We've seen injured Nick Bosa. We've seen slightly behind a step or two because of a holdout Nick Bosa, but we've never even seen bad Nick Bosa. We've seen hurt Nick Bosa, but he's normally just a pro football focused darling. He's being graded, even if your own 2 eyes didn't tell you he had a great game. You look at the pressures, you look at the way he collapsed pockets, and you're like, wow, even though he didn't fill up a box score, he had a really good game. Will Nick Bosa be a straight up game wrecker again? He is 26 years old. He is 100% in his prime. And if Nick Bosa returns to Defensive Player of the Year production, everything about this season just got a whole lot easier for the San Francisco 49ers. So much of this year rides on the year that guy's about to have.
So he's your second on the list of the 5 things we're most excited about. He's number 2 for you. Okay. That's a great one. Bosa, of course, has been done very little in camp other than just physically look impressive and deliver some, a couple interviews that were very forgettable. But I love Nick Bosa this year, but I'm going to flip it on you. I'm going Leonard Floyd, the man who I talked to in the locker room yesterday. I said, man, Bosa's going to, you're going to run into some sacks this year with Bosa on the other side. And you know what a super confident football player says to that? He's going to run into some
sacks.
He's going to be running into some sacks because of me, baby. It's like, that's what I want to hear. That's exactly what I want to hear.
I want those 2 guys to have a personal sack off between each other.
Exactly.
I hope they have a $500,000 bet on who's got more.
And I asked him yesterday, and I think Kev put together a clip of it. And unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me, but maybe he'll send it to me this hour and we can show it to you. But Kev put together a clip because if you remember, Damon, of course, the matchup this week in week 1 is the Niners against the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. And when did Aaron Rodgers last play? Week 1 last year against the Buffalo Bills. What happened? Leonard Floyd sacked him 4 plays into the game, and he ruptured his Achilles tendon. Well, because of that sack and what it did, devastated the Jets' whole season, even though and I know the Jets are crap and probably weren't going to have that great of a season anyway, but they were under the delusion that they were going to win the Super Bowl and then lost it. So their fans lost it, and many of them went online and issued death threats to Leonard Floyd. Death threats over doing your job. It wasn't like he bounced on him. He didn't even I don't even know. He got a finger on him.
There was nothing that could even be considered football violent about that Aaron Rodgers.
It wasn't even par for the course. It was beneath par for the course. Anyway, so I asked him about it because I read, I saw his thing with Schefter and he went on the podcast and he's like, hey, I'm going to use it as motivation. And I asked him about it. And at first he poo-pooed it. And he's like, hey, it was last year and different team, different place. And I don't want to, get things, riled up. He's like, but then I said, but is it a motivation? He's like, well, my job is to sack the quarterback. And, they did issue death threats to me and we'll just have to see Monday night. It's like, so Leonard Floyd, I think, is my excitement number 2, because in my opinion, Damon, Leonard Floyd is better than Dee Ford. Leonard Floyd is better than Chase Young. Leonard Floyd is better than Randy Gregory. Leonard Floyd is the best edge rusher the Niners have had in the Shanahan era opposite Nick Bosa, hands down. And he's had he's played in 108 straight games. The guy has had 4 years in a row, I believe, of 9+ sacks. I think he's like one of 3 players in pro football that can make that claim. So this was a great ad.
He really produces. I mean, that's the thing. And when I'm talking about Bosa's dominance, I mean, I don't need it to be interpreted. I don't need someone to tell me that, well, when you have 9 pressures in a football game, you had a really good game. Yeah, 9 pressures is great. There's no doubt about it. What's better than 9 pressures? 3 sacks. I want game-wrecking level Nick Bosa. And if
pressures can do, pressures
does I know sacks.
it can lead to a pick 6 or whatever.
I know. But I don't want to be trying to figure it out using football math. I want to just see the quarterback going down hard, and it's Nick Bosa's job to do that, and it's Leonard Floyd's job to do that. And if both of those guys have seasons that sing, this 49ers defense and that secondary is going to feast, and that's how you get back to a Super Bowl if you're the San Francisco 49ers. All right, number 3 on the things I am most excited about. I mean, this could be number 1. He's that important to the team, but I just thought I'd put it right here. How is Christian McCaffrey about to follow that season? I mean, it's almost impossible to say, Christian, we need better than that, right? You can't really ask for more than 1,400 yards and 21 touchdowns. So what's the follow-up season for Christian McCaffrey look like? This includes not only his performance, but how he is used by hopefully a year wiser Kyle Shanahan. How is Shanahan going to support getting Christian McCaffrey a little rest when he can by using Deebo Samuel as a runner? Mason, Garendo, Juszczyk. How are these guys going to be deployed to take a little bit of heat off Christian McCaffrey, having to carry this team's running game almost all by himself? I am fascinated in the kind of year McCaffrey is going to have and how exactly he's going to be deployed week to week. That to me is so much of this season's recipe of getting across the finish line in first place. You got to keep McCaffrey healthy, fresh, ready to go. And they got the right team to do it. I hope the coach has the right mindset to do it with.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with CMC. I think, we got the first pick in the fantasy draft. Kev and I are sharing a fantasy team this year. I somehow, even though I changed radio stations, I got kicked out of the 95.7 fantasy league, but couldn't find my way into the main KMBR fantasy league. So literally 24 hours ago, I was a man without a fantasy team, which sounds like a pretty good position to be in life. But
that doesn't sound good at all.
But here's my thing. I don't want fantasy teams, but I do want fantasy team. Like my youngest son has 5 fantasy teams. That's to me, too much. I've done 2 or 3, and I don't like it because you're rooting for and against in the same thing. It's like, oh, touchdown, yes, no, oh, wait a second, I have that guy, but I don't have him in this other league, and I'm going against him, and no,
too many moving parts, way too many moving parts.
It's too. A double negative makes a positive, a triple negative makes a negative. I mean, it's like what? My head's spinning. So no, I'm one fantasy team, but we did have the first pick in the draft, and when we were looking at some of the notes of who we could go with, and we were thinking about maybe Breece Hall, maybe Tyreek Hill, maybe maybe obviously CMC is the highest rated guy. CMC had over 100 more fantasy points than I think the next running back. So
he was spectacular.
He was spectacular. Yeah, he was spectacular. So he was incredible. Good call. That's my basically long-winded way of saying good call. I will go, though, with what I think is just absolutely one of my favorite stories with the 49ers all summer. And that is, man, it's like, their defensive backfield all of a sudden out of nowhere is really, really good. And it's really amazing. It's like when you say for like 3 years running, hey man, we need to get a few better DBs, and you get one in this draft and you get one in that draft and you land one in this free agency and you land one in that free agency, and you look up and where they're at right now is they don't have a player in their secondary. I believe maybe George Odom might be 30, but of their, the other veterans back there, Yadam's 28, Mooney's 28, Rock Ya-Sin's 28. So are they veterans? Yes, but they're not old. Those are the old guys.
Right. Those guys are all in their prime.
Yeah, and that's what we would call the super prime right there. 28. Okay. Hufanga is 24. Luter is 23. Jair Brown, 24. Diamador Lenore, 24. Renardo Green, 22. Malik Mustafa, 23. They've got Jair and Hufanga and Mustafa and Odom. So you got 3 great young safeties, I think, and an all-pro special teamer who looked phenomenal at safety. And he'll start opposite Jair Brown. Odom will in week 1 against the Jets. And I don't really fear it because he's looked good all summer. But then at corner, you go 6 deep with size, experience, talent, and youth. I mean, Mooney, Lenore, Yadam are considered to be the A team, with Rock Ya-Sin, Luter, and Renardo Green being the B team. It's pretty good. You cut Sam Womack, who easily could have made this team. He was really a good player. And you have Chase Lucas on the practice squad. You also have, you still own the rights to Ambry Thomas. He is IR designated to return. Potentially, you can return. I think the Niners have Kalia Davis, John Feliciano, and Ambry Thomas, and I think they can bring 2 of those 3, Damon, back onto the roster at some point this year. So they might have to make a decision there. But you got Ambry on the IR depth, and you got Chase Lucas, who's a special teamer, depth, also sitting there on the IR. But you're pretty stacked, and it's a really good defensive backfield. I think Sorensen is going to make sure that the fronts are tied to the coverage. Tim Ryan made this point yesterday. You can dial up all kinds of exotic blitzes and heat on the quarterback, but if you got a corner sitting in a soft zone 8 yards off the line of scrimmage, they're going to run a little out pattern in front of him, and the quarterback's going to play pitch and catch, and it's going to be easy breezy. So you have to have the coverage has to match the rush plan. And I think with Sorensen, he's going to do more of that this year. So they got away from that last year. Burned him in the Minnesota game. Burned him in the Cincinnati game. Really burned him in a lot throughout the year. And that's why Wilkes is not here anymore. People are like, why is Wilkes not here? Wilkes is not here because the fucking front didn't match the coverage. And that's a non-starter. And if you look at Steve's career, and I love Steve, had a great rapport with him. Steve's been coaching for like 25 years, and he's done it in like 23 different stops. So he moves. That's on him. His resume shows is that of a nomadic.
Where did Wilkes coach land? Dude, I don't even know where Steve Wilkes landed. Is he coaching this year?
That's a good question.
I have no idea where Steve Wilkes is.
Maybe Wikipedia. Let me see.
Maybe Wikipedia knows.
My guess is he's coaching college or sitting at home.
I don't know.
It wasn't that long ago that he was an NFL head coach.
Yeah. This is, look, and he's not a bad coach in any stretch of the imagination. He's not a bad coach, but you're right. He has been nomadic. There's a reason why teams, coaches, staffs include him and then move on from him often. It's Radnich always used to say that. Be worried about the guy who's had 15 jobs,
Well, there's a little truth to it. Radnich and our fathers came from a different era where you had a job, you kept your job, and you never left it. Excuse me.
Bless you. Look at that.
But now if you follow your friends on LinkedIn, you'll see that the average person seems like they're changing jobs every 2 years.
Totally.
Sometimes
every
industries.
18 months, I would say, these days.
Yeah. Seriously, if you know somebody who's been doing the same job for 5 years, that's the exception, not the rule.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt, especially if you're in radio. Good luck, everybody. All right, these are the 5 things that excite us the most about
so far. Let's recap it. Damon went Pony, Bosa, CMC.
Bosa, CMC.
I'm going Mustafa, Leonard Floyd, and the Niner defensive backfield.
I like it.
So now we're on number 4 for you.
All right. Well, we're counting backwards. So the number 2 thing that I'm most looking forward to, I'm not going to give you a big soliloquy here. I'm not going to do a big segment. I'm just going to leave it at this. Brandon Aiyuk.
And by the way, for those of you who are not Shakespeare experts, a soliloquy would be this. This is the soliloquy that Damon's talking about. This would be a soliloquy if Damon changed the screen, made himself bigger, put me in the side, and just kind of went pontificated for 20 minutes. That would be the equivalent of a Shakespearean soliloquy.
No one needs to say anything else about Brandon Aiyuk. We have said it all. Brandon, you wanted to be paid like the man? That means you think you're the man? Well, go out and produce like the man now. Brandon Aiyuk, sir, is the second thing I'm most looking forward to. I think he's got all the talent in the world to have a monster year. I hope that there's no slow start after a preseason lost. But Brandon Aiyuk, let's see it, baby. It's time to make everyone fall back in love with you. Mr. First Down, Mr. Move the Chain, Mr. 20-yard gain, Mr. Pop Play. Ahem. Brandon Aiyuk. See you in the Pro Bowl, motherfucker. You better be there.
Okay. I like that option. I mean, Aiyuk can't go wrong. Can't go wrong there. He just got the bag. He's going to try. He kind of admitted it yesterday, Damon, that he's going to kind of try to prove that he's worth the money, which is a little scary initially because you never want to see anybody try to do too much, especially if they've been off all summer with sitting at home. I don't know what he's done to train. So I hope he ramps it up slow. Because he did say to us yesterday that he will have to fight himself to try to kind of justify the contract, right?
Well, and he also admitted that, hey, I probably took things a little too far in this negotiation. I was the stubborn one. I probably overstepped my bounds. It just sounds like he knows that, he got broken off, but he was a massive pain in the ass to get broken off. And good for him, good for everyone. Put it all behind you now. Go play football and go play really good football, Brandon. You owe it to everybody. You owe it to the size of that paycheck. There's no more pleasant surprise, over delivering from Brandon Aiyuk. The 49ers just prepaid for a 1,300-yard, 10-touchdown season. You better give it to him.
Yeah. I would say my number 2 most excited. I'm going to go with another kid in the locker room who I was talking to yesterday, and that is the rookie from Arizona, Jacob Cowing, their 4th-round pick. I think the Niners may have absolutely exploded in the 4th round. They got Malik Mustafa, Isaac Guerrero, and Jacob Cowing, all in the 4th round of the 24 draft. And Cowing started at UTEP, finished at Arizona. We were talking yesterday at his locker about his teammate, Tetaroa McMillan, who against New Mexico State in the opener had 300-plus yards receiving, 300 yards in the college game. McMillan's a major, major talent. But Cowing, I talked to him. I said, were you helping him, with what did you help him with, route running or that kind of thing? And he's like, really what I helped him with was just identifying coverage. Jacob's a smart football player. He's a veteran football player. He had a huge territorial cup against ASU, and then he had a huge bowl game against Oklahoma And this guy's ready to roll. He hit the ground running in the summer. He looked amazing. And then all of a sudden he pulled his hamstring. And I'm like, oh my God, this is one day of awesomeness. And then this guy was shelved for about a week. Then the first couple days back, he just didn't look very good. Wow. After that last week, he just flipped the switch and he started making play after play after play after play. This guy creates separation. He creates separation vertically. They don't have a vertical separator. They have a quarterback that loves to throw down the field and loves to throw to guys who are open downfield. I think Jacob Cowing and Brock Purdy is going to be an amazing combination. I think this is the one guy. Aiyuk's nice. Aiyuk will work open down the field, but there's generally a defender hugged to his hip. This guy's going to be open down the field with the defender 3 or 4 yards away. And if Purdy can find him, I think Cowing is going to be the best Niner deep threat they've had since Ted Ginn in the Harbaugh era.
He's a hardly a deep threat at all. He's a punt returner more than anything.
A punt returner, and this guy's a punt returner too. And he's going to be a real good punt returner, but he creates vertical separation. They don't have anybody like that. They got the quarterback to take advantage of it. When I asked Brock about Cowing, you should have seen his face light up. Purdy to Cowing. I'm just saying, it's something. I'm very, very excited about Jacob Cowing.
Well, you should be.
Or almost more so than Pearsall, based on what I've seen on the field. I mean, now Pearsall, we haven't seen a lot on the field, but almost. I think Cowing could be the guy who really separates and has a great rookie year.
Well, that tees me right up, Larry, for the number one thing I'm most excited about. And you could say that this is a little cheating because I'm rolling two guys into one answer here. And this is the most obvious thing, I think. But to me, it's where, everything good comes from, or is the reason why nothing good happened. But I am very excited to see what Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy look like together in year 3 together. 25 regular season games together, 21 starts. Purdy is 17-4. He's won 4 of 6 postseason games. One loss was last year's Super Bowl. The other loss was when his elbow got turned into a cheesesteak in Philadelphia. So he didn't even get a chance to finish that one. It might have finished differently. Brock Purdy has suggested to us very early on in his career that he is something special. If he really is, if he's everything, Larry, that you and I think he could be, this is the year he shows it. This is a monster season for both of these guys, the quarterback and the head coach, on the same page in lockstep. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, no, that is a good one. That's a good one because many people are thinking that we've either seen the best of Purdy or that he's coming back down to earth. And the reality is neither. The reality is what you just stated, is that this is the launch point for Purdy and Shanahan in this offense. If you're one of these guys that's all up in his feelings because you said Trey Lance was going to be the greatest thing ever, and you stood on it for months because you don't know anything about football, guess what? You're probably sitting there going, Brock Purdy's going to regress. The rest of us who know football and understand the game are going to understand that, guess what? After his first full year of practice, when he's getting film reps and field reps, you're going to get better. So the arrow is not pointing down. It wasn't luck. It's not a 2-year thing, and he's going to turn into a pumpkin. This is one of the best young quarterbacks in the league, and he's getting better. And I know that's a hard thing for a lot of you guys to wrap your arms around.
Well, and, look, I appreciate Dale's question here. Why do we still utter the phrases like, if he's everything he's been? Shut up. He is, he says. I think so too, Dale. But this is the big year. I mean, this is the year where you really find out what you got, because year 3 is a big year in any quarterback coach relationship, any offense. This is the year that it all is clearly put in front of you, and you know what the 49ers present and future looks like. Or it's a year where people might start asking questions again. It could happen. It could happen. Progress is not linear, but for the great ones, it feels like they just get better and better and better, and they hit their stride and they hit their peak, and boom, it all happens. This is striding and peaking and age and learning and together and, chemistry, because you've been QB1 and you're familiar with everybody on your roster. Like, if something special is really happening here, this is a year where it's confirmed. All doubts to be removed. Now, if you're saying all your doubts have already been removed, God bless. I'm kind of on board with you. I really am. But this is a big year, an absolute monster year, and it's a chance for Brock Purdy to go out and, earn $60 million per season going forward. So I really hope it all happens for him. He's easy to root for. There's nothing about him I don't like. The origin story's awesome. The way that he comports himself is fantastic. The way that his teammates respond is fantastic. I hope what we think we see as the true north of this kid is a good quarterback. I hope we're right, Larry. I think we are. I really do.
The guy's awesome. He's awesome. Parker BG, you two reek of insecurity regarding Purdy. Oh, poor Parker. He's up in his feelings. I said in 2022, in August of 2022, I said on 95.7 The Game, on AM Drive to Bonte and Shasky, I said, hey, by the way, hey, you guys, I've been at practice. I know you guys haven't been down there. Let me tell you right now, Brock Purdy's he's real. And
right.
he ain't no backup quarterback. He's real. And they laughed and they scoffed.
Right.
And
they were the two big, like, they saw
13 it was 2022.
They saw 13 minutes of Trey Lance, and they're like, we've seen the future. It's the
Right.
greatest quarterback of all time has now been drafted. Like, they got a little excited. They definitely did. But look, if I could defend them a little bit too, I also am pretty sure you said the same things about Tanner Mordecai, so
no, I did not. I did not say the same things about Tanner Mordecai. I do like Tanner Mordecai. But I always stop short of saying that he was Purdy. Purdy played on time. I do like Tanner Mordecai more than Dobbs. I do like Tanner Mordecai more than Brandon Allen. I do think that Tanner Mordecai could probably win more games for the Niners than those two guys. But Brock's situation is it's unique. I mean, he's like, when I talk to Tanner Mordecai, he's a little bit more like, he's a little, I'm not saying he lacks confidence, but he's a little more aw shucks and this and that. Where Brock, even though he's aw shucks, you can kind of tell Brock knows he's good. He's got this simmering confidence that's underneath the surface that if you get to know him a little bit, I'm not saying that I do, but just a little bit, you get a feel for what he is as a competitor. He's a crazy competitor. I went up to Brandon Allen middle of the season last year, and I said, Brandon, you play any golf? You play a lot of golf? And he's like, you and Sam play a lot of golf? He's like, oh, yeah, we're playing all the time. And I go, you guys ever drag Brock out there? He's like, nah, we take his money, and I take his money, and this and that. So then Brock's on the podium that day, and I'm like, hey, Brock, I was talking to Brandon about your golf game in the locker room, and he said he'd take your money. And, you think he would just laugh, right? Because it's, and he goes, well, I go, you play a lot of golf? He's like, well, I used to fish on the holes when my dad would golf. But I played a little. He's like, I didn't play a lot this off season because of the elbow surgery, but I'll get my elbow right and I'll get good enough. And you can tell him I'll take his money. I mean, it was awesome.
It's good. That's what you're looking for.
That's what you're looking for. So
I love a guy who's humble, but has a little red ass in him. And that to me is Purdy. So I like that an awful lot. So Larry, Purdy, Shanahan, year 3 together. I think it's huge. It's my number one thing I'm most looking forward to. It's pretty obvious. It's sort of where all football happens. What do you got? What's coming in number 1 on your list? The thing you're most looking forward to watching this upcoming season?
You know what? This changed for me. Believe it or not, and I've been covering the Niners all, 3 years now, every day. I've been at every practice, every presser, everything.
You're like a fucking beat writer now.
I'm a GD beat writer. I'm sitting there with everybody else. For me, it's Ricky Pearsall after yesterday. John Lynch yesterday doubled down twice and said that he thinks Ricky Pearsall is going to be a fantastic player. He didn't say it once, said it twice. And the second time, he's like, what we've seen out here, he's so far exceeded our expectations. And I know John. I know the difference between he's saying positive things about a guy who's just shot, who's maybe going through some things, and when he's being totally football truthful and sharing with us his honest valuations. He did this a couple years ago when the rest of us were saying, hey, John, you drafted Aaron Banks in the second round, and he's a freaking bust. And he came out in Aaron Banks' rookie year in like December and said, hey, by the way, all you guys who've been saying for weeks that this guy's a bust, you guys are wrong. He's not a bust. He's going to have a hell of a career. We're taking it slow with him. He's going to be a tremendous prospect. We feel great about Aaron Banks. Well, here we are. Aaron Banks is about to have a career year and about to get broken off and paid big time. And he's had and I think Aaron Banks is a pretty good football player, to be honest.
Aaron
So
Banks
I think he was
the best offensive lineman this team has had, not named Trent Williams. Full stop. That's what
he stays healthy. He doesn't have to lift weights to get to that size. The pinky thing, he could have played in the preseason. They just didn't want to play him in the preseason. And he had the pinky surgery, and they're like, you know what, we'll just save him up for the beginning of the year. But, as long as Aaron can avoid the concussions, he's really, really a special player, I think. And a native El Cerrito kid. Hopefully he'll be a Niner for life. Okay, I'm going Pearsall, though, because Pearsall is the route running, the hands, the ability to separate. This guy's got quick, short area quickness. He plucks with his hands. So everything's here. Nothing's up on the body. He plucks the ball with his hands. He's a very consistent hands catcher. He's got great separation ability. I guarantee you, if you played this guy in one-on-one hoops, you'd have a hard time sticking with him just because he's electric. He's got electric movements. Twitchy. That's the word. Twitchy.
So look, Larry,
he's twitchy. And also Damon, the other thing is this team's got Debo. You're going to go the end around to Debo. He's going to run your ass over. You're going to go deep crosser to Aiyuk. He's going to run across the middle of the field like he freaking owns it. You got Cowing now who can separate vertically. You got Kittle. You got CMC in the flat. And now potentially you could go 3 wides on a key third down. And you got this kid being able to unfree himself and open up, 10 to 12 yard box with Brock Purdy. I'll put it on the hands. I play on time. Once Purdy and Pearsall really get rolling, and Damon, we've already seen it. There was a couple practices earlier this year where Purdy to Pearsall, you would have swore those guys have played together like Stafford and Cup. I mean, it was crazy. It was like they had played together for years. So, and that was after like 3 practices. Purdy to Pearsall is going to be a thing. It's not going to be a downfield thing. It's going to be a continuity, keep the offense on the field thing, and it's going to become very difficult to stop. I think it's going to be the element that lifts the Niners over the top and into that 6 Lombardi. They need that continuity piece. They need that receiver that cannot be stopped no matter what. Think about that. If they had that receiver in last year's Super Bowl, there's a very good chance they would have won the game. I think he is the piece that they lack. And I know people are saying, don't forget third and Juwan. Juwan's a different kind of a player. This guy can free himself open in an assortment of routes. And together, together those guys are going to be incredible. I think I could see some scenarios where Pearsall plays outside and Juwan's in the slot. So third down situations when you got to have it, now you've got a second Juwan type player. Different, but very consistent. I think it's going to make a huge difference.
Well, I'm really looking forward to finding out where Ricky Pearsall is as an NFL player. Again, I don't cover practice every day like you. I went down to one or two practices this year, and that's enough. I'm good with that. But I don't know what Ricky Pearsall is. Practice field chemistry, while no one's getting hit, doesn't mean much to me. Never has, never really will. The one thing that I do know is there will be no more jokes about Ricky Pearsall's toughness or his ability to play, under any circumstances. That non-contact jersey has been hung on him, and we've brought it up every time we've talked about him, what he's just been through, having survived a gunshot wound. No more talk about this kid's level of toughness. I hope the speedy and full recovery that everyone predicts is absolutely on the table for him all happens. He's going to be eligible to return to the fifth game of the season. That's against the Arizona Cardinals on October 6th. If he's out there for that game, first of all, it's a miracle he's just out of the hospital, much less out to play football games in like a month from now. And if he really is all you hope he is, Larry, what an interesting, possibly season-altering wrinkle he will be for this team added into the mix after they get around the first quarter pole of the season in game number 5. So it's going to be fascinating to see what he becomes. He's become a bit of a rallying cry. I even saw that Trent Williams cited, the gunplay being involved in his decision process to get back with his team. He wanted to be around them. Obviously,
that was the question I asked him yesterday, and I thought that we'll play this for you guys because this was good.
Please do.
This was, sometimes you ask a question and you just don't know where it's going to go, and I wasn't sure what he would say because I don't know what kind of relationship Trent even have a relationship with Ricky, right? I mean, I saw Trent during the mini camp, but he's been holding out all summer, right? We haven't seen Ricky on the field very much.
We haven't even talked yet.
Right. So, but here is Trent yesterday at the podium, and I've been covering the Niners for a couple of years now. I got to say, Damon, this might have been my favorite question and answer, definitely top 5 that I've gotten from any of the players. Here is Trent, and I asked him the question, and we'll blow it up so you guys can see it. We'll rewind it a little bit. Here we go. Yesterday in Santa Clara, me talking. By the way,
that shirt. Look at that shirt. North Face Gucci.
I know. Look at the big man.
Go ahead.
This team and obviously the thing with Ricky Saturday was pretty scary.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young heads in that room that look up to you. What would you say to them about handling themselves in big cities as a target, as a pro athlete?
Yeah, I think that's like you said. But just touching on that, I honestly that. To be real, I felt more compelled to come back after that than anything because, I've never experienced that like in my playing career to have a teammate, shot, so to speak. So in my mind, I'm like, man, I just want to get around the team. Like Ricky stood out to me because when I popped in for OTAs for the 30 minutes I was here, he did like go out of his way to come and introduce himself to me, in which we was going to meet each other eventually. But, I'm getting there. There's 90 guys on the team. I'm just walking out. I don't really know everybody just yet. So for him to come up and kind of introduce, and I just instantly felt his vibe and, can just feel he's such a genuine person. So as soon as I seen that happen, I'm like, man, I just want to get back. I just want to be, a voice in his ear, let him know everything going to be all right. I'll be there for the team. A lot of people probably hurt and confused about what happened and thinking that am I next, so I wanted to be around for that. But, my message is just to realize you're a target and this world is a hard place. It's a very, very, very harsh place. And I think sometimes we are shielded from reality and for better or worse, whatever the reason is, we can be. So just staying in the moment and realizing that, your life is more important than anything that you can wake up and put on. So just always keep that eye out, man, and just know that there's people out here that don't really value human life. And you just got to be aware of that.
I mean, that is a speech for the ages.
It's a compelling answer. Yeah, I mean, it really is. And, he
and honest.
Honest. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he talked about a lot of things there, how he was, emotionally tied to this kid in this story, the look out for yourself athletes in a cruel world where people might be looking to take what you've got. Be careful of showing everyone what you got. And look, we still don't know all the details of.
Look at that chain he's wearing, by the way, as he's saying that.
Yeah. We still don't know all the details of how the entire day unfolded. But from what I've gathered is that Ricky Pearsall was at a card signing at the Cow Palace where he was identified by his assailant as someone that he was, I'm going to try to rob this guy. And Ricky Pearsall
was a target. Yeah.
He was followed from the Cow Palace by this guy who spotted him there to Union Square. And again, trying to rob somebody or accost somebody in Union Square. Let me tell you how bad of a criminal you are. Why don't you try mugging people right outside of a police station, for goodness sakes? I mean, it
wasn't a well thought out plan by the perpetrator.
But it was clearly thought out. And that is why today, the little bit of news we have is that this 17-year-old kid is going to be charged with attempted murder.
It was attempted murder.
Right. And that's the thing. You can say that it was almost premeditated if he tracked him from one location to another, and it's armed robbery turned into attempted murder. And I'm going to tell you, he's a 17-year-old kid from Tracy, and I hope he rots in prison. This kid does not need to be a participant in society. And let me tell you, you ain't a kid if you're using a gun to steal a Rolex. You've graduated to man right there, and you'll be treated as such.
Well, and this guy is going to be, come on. Hey, buddy, I hope it was worth it, because you are going to be made an example of. So get ready for a very, very harsh sentence.
Yeah. Someone says
he's a loud message
juvenile. I think they're trying to take that out of juvenile court and try him as an adult. I think that is the move here that certainly needs to happen. It certainly needs to happen. It's a horrible thing that happened. I think there's a cautionary tale that every athlete in every city needs to consider here. This is not a unique to San Francisco situation, as much as people wanted to make it like that. This is something that is a cautionary tale. It truly is. So, but
I love the last part of it, Damon, because if we really care about the people who are getting, or who are the victims of crime, then we have to, if we really care, then we have to actually show that we care. You know what I mean? And it's, I don't know. We could go on and on and on about this thing, but I just love the fact that, at the very end of that, Trent said, hey, look, message, it was terrible. And he talked about his relationship with Ricky. And I thought it was incredible, because I didn't even know how to have a relationship. He's like, I was extra motivated to come back because I want to lead this team through this tragedy. That was compelling as heck. But the fact that he was like, hey, look, the reality is you're as a pro athlete, you are a target, and don't let that harden your soul. But at the same time, don't forget about that, and be careful. Be careful when you're out, and don't challenge people, and understand that you value your life, but not everybody does. And heck, we see people shoot other people over parking spaces. I see people shooting people all the time on Twitter over nothing, over absolutely nothing. So,
right.
All I would say is
Waffle houses.
All I would say is, we all want to go home to our wives, our girlfriends, our dads, our moms, our families, our children. My God, that's who loses here when anybody, loses a life. So I think we are. I think his message there at the end was, know your surroundings, and remember that, somebody holds you up for your chain, give them the chain. Somebody holds you up for your Rolex, give them the Rolex. You can buy another Rolex. Life is, there's no, hey, I got shot and I died, but I bought a second life. No, you didn't. So anyway, sounds a little heavy, but anyway, we appreciate that. And I also want to share the screen, because I mentioned it before. Kev did send it to me in the middle of the show. So let me share the screen one more time, Damon, for something that we talked about earlier, and that's the Leonard Floyd death threats. Leonard Floyd sacked Aaron Rodgers. He got death threats from the Jets fans. I asked him about it yesterday. Here's a little brief 40 seconds with Leonard.
You sacked
A-Rod and he got hurt and the
Mhm.
Jets fans went crazy on you and they're giving you death threats? Is that actually happen? Did that actually happen?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of threats, but I'm trying not to talk too much into it because it was last year. This year's a new year. I just plan to come out and do my job and help our team win.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
Any extra motivation though because of that? Because of that
It's
reaction the fans gave you?
It's extra motivation, period. It's an opportunity to go out there and rush the pass and get out the quarterback. So it's an extra opportunity, man, and I'm taking that moment and running with it.
Yeah, good luck to Aaron Rodgers on Monday night with this cat coming off the edge. This was a great get by the Niners, man. But
and look, if I could have a wish for society, right? Like what I truly believe is that you should be allowed to post nothing anonymously. Like if I could give society a gift, that you would no
on
longer
social media,
be allowed to post anonymously on social media. You'd have to put your name on everything you said, and boy, would that change the way people talked.
Well, isn't that the lady? What was the I forget her name. What was the lady who ran for president on the Republican side? What was her name? Remember, she got beat. Kind of a tough lady with brown hair. She lost out. She signed, but she did pretty well. Anyway, that was her platform. That was part of her thing, is that she wants everybody to be like registered. If you're on Twitter, it does seem like Twitter is kind of, or X or whatever, it's like two levels.
Yeah. Nikki Haley.
Haley. Yeah. Nikki Haley said, I can get Leonard Floyd off the tongue. I can go Jacob Cowing stats. And that brain space was given to the area that I would normally remember Nikki Haley's name. But yeah, Nikki Haley said that she wanted to have everybody have to register, I think, for social media. Now, on one hand, it seems really, like heavy-handed and like, really? But on the other hand, you and I say something on social media, we have to own it.
Yeah.
Bob Jones says something on social media, and he can literally eviscerate both of us, say all kinds of horrible personal things, and there's no accountability at all.
Right. Well, Adam McKee.
So it's like two levels.
Adam McKee says it can't happen because of cancel culture. No, it should happen because of cancel culture. People should know that if you just spout shit, it could come back to haunt you. They would spout less shit, is my point. So I really hope that
I don't know. It's either
hold on, Larry. There's nothing that should ever happen in a game that makes you type, I hope you die.
Right.
To anybody. And if you're that level of person, if that's how you begin your conversation, you shouldn't be allowed to have it.
But once again, Damon, freedom of speech. Do you believe in freedom? Do you believe in freedom of speech? If you believe in freedom of speech, you have to stand up and argue that the person whose speech is so vile that it makes your skin crawl has a right to say what they want to say.
Larry, first of all, freedom of speech is about being imprisoned. That's what freedom of speech is. This whole willy-nilly freedom of speech thing is absurd if we're going to apply it to anonymous things. That is not freedom of speech. You are not allowed to yell fire in a crowded theater. That is not a right guaranteed to you. So there is, I think, a difference between the right to say whatever you want, but you better put your name behind it and be ready for the consequences that come with it. That, to me, is free speech. Say whatever you fucking want, buddy, but just know we're keeping score. And we're scoring it against your name, not anonymous, Twitter handle is, cockhammer8643349. That person is a disingenuous, attention-seeking asshole who shouldn't be allowed in the conversation. But unfortunately, social media allows anyone to say anything, and the anonymous are the toughest talkers out there. And I wish they could be reduced. I wish they could be silenced. They don't have, how about this? freedom of speech doesn't guarantee you the right to feel comfortable threatening Leonard Floyd's life because he tore a quarterback's Achilles heel.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean the lack of decorum in our public
Right.
forums is startling, disturbing. I get it. I don't know that I'm as strong as you as far as I would want everybody to have to register, but it would be nice if there was some accountability. Like you're right, there is absolutely no way to even to even get at these people. They're just out there in the ether. But it would be nice if there was some level of accountability as far as having to register and you're going to have people, ruining your life because you're at 12 years old, you type something in it's like, I don't know. I'm not there yet. I know where we're at and how we got here, but I'm not ready to be like, every person's got to register, but I would like to have there be some accountability for vile comments. And it seems like Twitter should be able to, Elon should be able to kick some of those people off, especially if they're repeat offenders. But we are in a different, if you're a public figure in any way, shape, or form, you have a higher level of accountability on social media than Joe listening.
Here's the thing. Put your name on it. Put your name on it, you fucking pussy. That's how it's settled in the streets. Put your name on it. And if you're not willing to put your name on it, what you are is a fucking pussy. You're a keyboard warrior, and that's it. And you should be ignored. It's a shame that you're in the conversation at all. So I feel that way. I really do. To get off that subject,
let's
get happier things. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wake Up. It is really good to have you here. Damon Bruce, Larry Krueger, we're coming to you 3 days a week now through the rest of football season, baby. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We hope that you're going to be here with us. We're going to have a special Wake Up on Tuesday next week, the day after a 49ers game, the first 49er game of the season. Thank God we are through this offseason. And we want to welcome officially Sam's Chowder House. We'll put our name on that. We are thrilled to be ambassadors to endorse this gorgeous restaurant in Half Moon Bay. Again, look at that. Look at that restaurant. And wait until you see the Cioppino. Oh, it's coming. First of all, the lobster roll. There it is. There's the heavyweight champion.
You get it warm, get it hot. Are you a warm lobster roll or a cold lobster roll?
I like it both
aficionado.
Ways. I like it both ways. I really do.
Yes.
Yes. The Cioppino. Yes. Look, Sam's is fantastic. It's in Half Moon Bay. It's everything a restaurant sitting on the California coastline should be, and you will absolutely love it. Guaranteed you will love it. We're so happy to welcome in, Paul Shankman, his wife, Julie, who support us, love being associated with sports. They're huge Niners fans. They're great Bay Area people. And they see the future in advertising is right here. So we thank them very much for supporting what we do.
And we should tell people, this is not like, one of these things. I mean, if you know Damon and if you know me and you're familiar with our careers, you know that we've had a long-standing relationship with Paul, the owner of Sam's, and this restaurant, dating back over a decade, almost 15 years now. We did our 49er postgame show from Sam's for multiple seasons, 2011, 2012, right in there. Damon, I think, was there. Were you there? I mean, maybe that was the beginning. That was the beginning of Sam's. That's when Sam's opened. So we've been there since the beginning of Sam's. We're big fans of Paul, big fans of Sam's. And we were thrilled to do the Niner postgame show from such a beautiful locale. We would be thrilled if, to have, and we are thrilled to have them as a sponsor. And I'm just really happy to be associated with anything that I think is first rate, right? This is first rate. I love a phenomenal first rate outfit, and that's what Sam's is. And I can look you guys all in the eye and say that, hey, if you're coming out for a weekend and you're staying down in the South Bay or staying somewhere, near the Levi Stadium, as Damon said, Sam's is really closer to Levi Stadium, much closer than it is to downtown San Francisco. And so, you come in for a weekend, maybe you hit Saturday and you go down the coast and have a little seafood and enjoy some of our amazing October and November weather. And then Sunday you head out to the game and watch the Niners spank your team and then get out of here. Or spank the other team.
Look at it this way. Come out to Levi Stadium, catch your whooping, and then go get a lobster roll.
Go get a lobster roll. There you go. Go get a lobster roll before you get out of town.
Catching a whooping is exactly what Pro Football Focus says an awful lot of 49ers opponents are going to catch. They have their first power ranking, right? I mean, we got football starting on Thursday night, Larry. We got our first power ranking, and the 49ers, according to Pro Football Focus, are projected at 10.6 wins. I don't know how they're going to win a sixth of a game, but that's the over-under. So 11 wins is what, the world of football is thinking the 49ers are going to come in at. And it says here that the 49ers, their biggest strength is their offensive playmakers, McCaffrey, Aiyuk, George Kittle, who all ranked in the top 2 at their positions in Pro Football Focus grades in 2023. The Niners also have Deebo Samuel, one of the most electrifying offensive weapons in the NFL. San Francisco's pass protection was a weakness in 2023, ranking 24th. But Dominic Pooney may help address that offensive line issue alongside a healthy Trent Williams. The return of safety Talanoa Hufanga from injury could be a key factor in 2024 as the defensive performance declined in his absence last season. They got a stacked offense, typically top 5 defense. The 49ers are strong contenders for another Super Bowl run. And that ain't us on Wake Up. That's Pro Football Focus saying that they're the team to beat. We're about to all see it.
Pro Football Focus. I ran into Jeff Deeney, who covers the 49ers for Pro Football Focus. Good man. And we had I don't know how you feel about Pro Football Focus. I like all information. I don't love a lot of their grades on the players, to be completely honest. But I look at them.
I look at it, Larry, as a tool to help evaluate. It is not the final evaluation of anyone.
No, it really shouldn't be. And especially I find their evaluations incredibly flawed along the offensive line. But and that's just because they at times will have, grades. I think some of the best things they do are the individual game grades that you get like on Monday morning. I love the individual grade games because it's oftentimes they'll highlight a player that really did have a good game that you don't really realize had a good game until you get into the rewatch. So that I like, and I do look at their stuff, but I think some of the year-long metrics on the O linemen just seem very, very, I don't want to say arbitrary, but they're not in every room as the plays are being installed, as the offense is being installed. They don't necessarily know. Not every team coaches it exactly the same. I know people don't understand that necessarily, but there are multiple ways to coach different things, and you don't know the coaching point. So it's hard to evaluate if the player did the right thing if you don't know the coaching point or what they were coached to do. So all I would say is just put a filter on some of the grades. But overall, Jeff does a great job covering the Niners, and PFF has been nothing but a great thing to kind of highlight the kind of behind the scenes guys that don't get a lot of attention.
Again, it's a tool to help evaluate. It's not the final evaluation of anyone. What's the old statistics are like lampposts. Not only can you use them to illuminate what you're looking at, but a drunk person can lean against them to help hold up whatever argument they're making. So, it depends on how you want to use it. And I think it's interesting, but it's not the end all be all of anyone. And there are times where my own naked eye tells me that Pro Football Focus grade just doesn't make an awful lot of sense. So there you go.
One question from the chat here from Ron Douglas. He says, Larry, how do you think the Niner O-line will do against the Jets D-line? I think the Jets, now I don't know, Damon, how much you've looked at the Jets, but I don't think the Jets D-line I think the Jets D-line's worse this year than it was a year ago. Bryce Huff was a phenomenal edge rusher, right? So they said goodbye to Bryce Huff and they added Hassan Reddick, but now
But
they haven't been able to sign Hassan Reddick. So now you basically took away Bryce Huff, who had like 65 or 70 pressures last year at the right defensive end, and you put in Hassan Reddick, but Reddick's not ready to roll. So now Michael Clemens steps in. Clemens is a big body. I remember him from A&M. I'm a big A&M fan, but he's like 285. I mean, he's a big guy with the huge long arms, but he's not the speed rusher. So, they don't have the same speed element without Huff, and obviously now without Reddick. Jermaine Johnson is a problem. Will McDonald had a phenomenal preseason, had a big sack. He's a problem. But they brought in Kinlaw up front, and Kinlaw doesn't come off blocks. And I think the Jets are 25th against the run last year. So I think the Niners, I like the under in this game. I think the Niners are going to come out with a run-heavy plan and run it at the Jets to try to neutralize Jermaine Johnson and Quinnen Williams and the Jets rush. And I think the Jets are going to try to run it with Breece Hall at the Niners. And I like the under. I like this. I think this is a low-scoring defensive battle. Rodgers did not play a single snap in the preseason, has only played 4 snaps in 2 seasons. They traded his health for rustiness at the beginning. So I'd be shocked if they weren't rusty offensively to start. A lot of Breece Hall
in the game too. I think I like the 49ers to cover the 4.5. I like the Niners to win the opening night game now. I mean, to me, what they needed to do to be taken seriously was get in Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Williams and have them both get him ready for week 1. And it looks like that's going to happen. So I feel much better about the team than I did just, 10 days ago, for goodness sakes. And I think, all systems should be firing for the 49ers here. They really should. And hopefully Trent lives up to his reputation as I don't need much practice. I'm ready to go, and is out there. Javon Kinlaw cannot have a big game on Monday night. The 49ers better not let that happen. So I'm looking forward to it.
I don't fear that. I don't fear that.
Yeah, no, I really don't fear it either. I tell you what I do fear here, Larry. And I'd like to know who else maybe in the comments is sitting in the same boat I am, because I got an executive decision to make here. I got a big call to make because I'm a DirecTV guy, Larry. I've had DirecTV in my house since I've had my house. I've had DirecTV since, 3 apartments ago. I'm a DirecTV guy because I need Big Ten Network because of my Indiana obsession. So,
what? You watch Indiana football?
Indiana football and basketball, of course, sir. Absolutely, I do. Proud alumni. Let's go Hoosiers. 1-0, baby. We're coming.
Do you really? That's rough.
Yeah.
Man, I watched Sac State the other day against San Jose State. So
yes, and it was rough. You're living in the world of rough.
It was rough.
But look, I got a call to make here on DirecTV. I really do. I think I got to end like what is now a 15-year relationship, and I'm going to give them until Thursday night to hammer this out. I'm going to give them to Thursday night, and if it's not resolved, I think I'm signing up for YouTube TV or maybe the Hulu ESPN combined package. I need that because, for God's sakes, I cannot have Monday Night Football. What am I supposed to listen to?
So wait, what is it? DirecTV has not.
DirecTV and Disney are at odds with each other over carrier prices, and so right now you can't get Disney, you can't get any of ESPN's entire family of networks. You can't even get the local ABC affiliate. You can't get KPI. What is it? What was ABC out here? KPIX? No, that's CBS. KGO. Can't get KGO. Can't even get KGO. So
I would eliminate ESPN. The only thing I watch ESPN now for is the games. I will watch ESPN occasionally, a PTI, but they're like Around the Horn is unwatchable. All their shows are just fucking morons. I mean, they're just absolute dipshits. It's the show that Dog's on. Sometimes I'll try to support Dog because he's a friend. I mean, that show is Dog and just absolute. I mean, some of the idiocy that is stated on Dog's show is just embarrassing. So I watch football, tons of college football on ESPN, tons of football college wise, but that's it. And obviously whatever national football game they'll have. They have the Monday night game. I'll watch Monday night football and college football.
That's what I don't understand about ESPN is there is so much happening in sports that are really legitimately interesting and could be debated until the cows come home. And yet they're totally always manufacturing debates to create drama that doesn't exist in the first place. And it's just all disingenuous debates among people who have been given their positions by producers. You argue this side, you argue that side, and let's embrace debate. It's not embracing debate, it's forcing debate. And that's why I don't watch really anything, like you said, but the live games. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Now it's Ian Sharp, I think, sums it up well. ESPN is horrific. Yeah, I mean ESPN, so it's so hard to stomach. They dump people, and I don't know. It's just, to me, ESPN has jumped the shark. I would say maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, and look, this situation right now that they're in, just lets you know that it's not quite what it used to be. They're not the mover of all business the way that Disney used to bully every single cable company, every streaming service into having them to be viable. And it's a different world, man. Media is fracturing in every direction. And that's why shows like this, like Wake Up, have become more valuable to sports fans than classic linear network television. So please like and subscribe to both of our channels. Make sure that you've hit that like button, because it's going to help this show grow.
We have this one, Damon. What do you think of this one? Anthony says, Larry, where's your super chat choice?
Super chat choice? Meaning what?
Did we turn off super chats today? We might have turned off super chats by accident.
Well, again, who does that? Who has time?
What's that?
Anyway,
Anthony, I will look into it. I will look into it after the show.
Is someone trying right now to give us a super chat, but they can't?
Anthony says he's trying to give us a super chat, but can't.
Anthony, God bless you, Brave. Save it for save it for Friday. Save it for Friday.
We'll talk to Kev in the post game.
Post-game.
Yeah, it says here we go. Bazi Mayan. No super chat option.
What?
We do not want donations anymore. Is that what we're saying?
Here's the thing. What we're saying is go to Sam's Chowder House. Save the money today and spend it on a lobster roll at Sam's Chowder House. You'll be very, very happy that you did. Maybe even the Chowder Mobile will come to you. What we need to do, Larry, throughout the year is have a Chowder Mobile tracker on the show and tell people where it's going to be throughout the Bay Area. They got a couple of Chowder Mobiles that they deploy. So hopefully we can track Chowder Mobiles. And if you can't go to Sam's will come to you. But
Mark Graves' super chat is still there on his page, but then this guy says it's not there for him. So and Scott's saying, what is it? People can donate if they want to donate throughout the show.
Thank
and
you. Okay, Anthony,
normally we have like
beer. Thank you, Anthony.
What's that? And no beer for Damon. Anyway. Oh, it says only super stickers membership and membership are given as options. We'll look into it.
Okay. Last thing here from a football standpoint, Larry, and I'll invite everyone. By the way, I got an 11 o'clock show coming up with Cam Inman. We're going to be talking about his book and the franchise. We're going to do a little State of the Union on the 49ers with Cam Inman coming up at 11 o'clock. So looking forward to doing that. Oh, my Rhino is dropping super chats over here on my side. Just turned off on your side, Larry. There you go.
Maybe it is. There you go.
Working.
My Rhino working. Says working. ESPN is the home of the Cowboys. They suck.
There you go. Fair enough.
And we also
thank you, my Rhino.
There you go. So it is working. Okay. Couple things.
Wait, Larry.
The schedule.
The last thing. Yes. I got a bit of news here for you today, and not that we want to start talking about next year's cap numbers or who's going to sign for what. We're done with that for a football. Like now is just about football on field, what happens, first downs, tackles, sacks, all that shit. That's what football is now. I don't want to talk about contracts. However, Patrick Surtain, he just kind of reset the defensive back market. Rap Sheet this morning says the Broncos and their star cornerback have agreed to terms on a massive 4-year extension worth $96 million, $24 million per year. He is now the highest paid defensive back in NFL history. He's 24. He's got $77.5 million guaranteed to him. So that is going to have a ripple effect. And we all knew that if the price of wide receiver play was going up, then the price that you're going to have to pay to defend those guys directly, that's going to go up too. And cornerbacks just collectively got richer around the NFL thanks to that Surtain extension.
Yep. It looks like Surtain. It's actually Surtain, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Surtain.
Anyway, his daddy, you remember his daddy played for the Dolphins.
Yes, it's Patrick Surtain. I know.
One interesting note too, before we jet. They were asking Mike Tomlin about Aiyuk, and I thought he had a very interesting quote as far as why the Steelers didn't, show more interest or offer more. And this is really interesting. And this kind of cuts to why this was if you're sitting there asking why was this such a thing? Why? I don't get it. Here's Tomlin. And he said this on his weekly press conference yesterday. He says, there's a plethora of receivers, not only in the draft, but in free agency. I mean, you can look at that position in the top 3 rounds of the draft over the last 5 years, and it gives you the indication of the amount of talent and the readiness of that talent in recent years. So we were really comfortable with it and not overly concerned about it, to be quite honest with you, as far as their receivers. He says, we're really excited about Roman Wilson. We got in the 3rd round, for example. We've always done a nice job of acquiring receiver talent, not necessarily in round 1. I just think that speaks to the depth and readiness of the position. So this is, in a nutshell, the problem, or if you want to call it a problem, or the issue with the receivers getting paid. There's a ton of the receiver money is massive, and there's tons of receivers out there. So it's not like quarterback. It's not supply and demand. There's a demand, but the supply is equal to it. And I think there's going to be more teams that opt not to pay their star wide receiver in the years ahead because of that reality. So anyway, that's going to do it for us. I know I got to go too, because I'm at 10:50, 15 minutes from now. I'll be jumping on KMBR with Greg Papa and John Lund. Look for that later today. And then also trying to hook up with Brandon Tierney tonight to get a little Jets perspective with him. And then tonight at 7:15 on the Krueger Show, Paulie Mack makes his YouTube debut with his brand new channel. And we're going to talk all about it tonight at 7:15. So if you're a KMBR fan who's a fan of Paulie Mack, who used to be on the morning show, join me tonight at 7:15. And then also, of course, tonight at 6:00, Niners Nightly, the 3rd edition. And it will be a YouTube only with the Giants playing. And then tomorrow, I'll be down at Niners for Kyle Shanahan, Open Locker Room, Dieter Kurtenbach, Bob Wischusen, the voice of the Jets, and Rich Cimini, the Jets beat writer, all stopping by tomorrow. So a lot going on the Krueger Show. Thanks to everybody who's helped us as we approach 50,000 subs. We're thrilled to be doing Wake Up with Damon on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and after every 49er, the morning after every 49er game. So the first one's a Monday nighter, so we'll be with you Monday, but then we'll be with you Tuesday, and we'll be with you Wednesday as well, and Friday. So a lot of Wake Up this week, but next week, I should say, but I'm enjoying it. Hope you guys are enjoying it as well. We're here for you. Thanks to Sam's Chowder House for being our sponsor. We love Sam's Chowder House. We also want to get this one in there. Super sticker from Scott Donald. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate you.
Super sticker guy. He's a guy who drops super stickers.
I was telling Tate, I love the super sticker. So I used to say, Tom, would you like a super sticker? And Tommy would always look at me, thought I was crazy, and say, Ralph, just eat your garlic fries. And I am gonna eat my garlic fries, but I'm a big fan of the super sticker. Always have been.
Good night, everybody.
And on that note, we call it a show. Peace.